Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. So today we got a crazy show, so let's get straight into it. So I came across an article this morning while doing research from fadeawayworld.net, and it had the following headline saying, Colin Cowherd reveals why Lakers traded Anthony Davis. Out of shape, LeBron wasn't overjoyed with that. And I'm like, what? Now, as you guys know, I think Colin Cowherd lives in LA. He's been in the news, the sports media business for decades. He's a very plugged in guy. He knows all the players. He knows all the executives. I think he's the founder or one of the founders of the Volume Network, where you see like people like Draymond Green, all these guys have these shows on. So Colin Cowherd is very plugged in, and he has a massive, massive, massive audience. Whenever they're talking about cutting people at FS1, Colin Cowherd will not be one of them, right? And as you guys know, AD and LeBron just recently did this skit together when they pranked Draymond Green, right? So they seem very cordial. But if you guys remember, at the time when Anthony Davis got traded, there was a lot of speculation surrounding that trade, to the point where even AD was a little bit speculative of the stories that were coming out after things had unfolded, and he felt like there may have been some foul play. Some NBA players felt like more people knew than that was being said, like Jimmy Butler came out there and said that. Of course, you heard the story that the Markieff Morris, Marcus Morris' brother had when he talked about how the trade went down and all of that. So you have all of these things, and now AD and LeBron seem to be cool. And then I hear these comments from Colin Cowherd, and I'm like, wait, what? So let's read a little bit more in the article. It says, last year, the Los Angeles Lakers changed the landscape of the NBA by trading Anthony Davis to the Dallas Mavericks to acquire Luka Doncic. While the move came as a shock to many, with Davis also revealing how taken aback he was recently, there may have been hints to suggest that this move was inevitable. During a recent episode of the Colin Cowherd Show, Cowherd revealed that Davis being traded shouldn't come as a surprise since he showed up to camp overweight after winning the 2020 NBA championship. So for those of you who didn't hear what Colin had to say, I want to play his comments for you now. Take a listen to Colin Cowherd, and then we'll come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Colin here.
Anthony Davis apparently has a new show. It's a practical prank joke show. He had Draymond Green on it the other day, and then AD went on Draymond's a podcast. He didn't love the way he was treated by the Lakers. I have known a couple people in my life. My wife used to be in HR, and I've known a couple other people in HR. And obviously people lose their jobs now for AI and a variety of reasons. But when I talk to HR people, I'm always fascinated by, they're very, very powerful people inside of a company. And they've always said sometimes, a lot of the times people fire themselves. People put themselves in position. And when you go and tell them you have to let them go, they kind of know it's coming. Now that doesn't mean it's always the case. But Anthony Davis does not like sort of the way the Lakers moved him and treated him. Here he is.
I had no idea that this was happening. Right. And I couldn't make sense of it because I'm like, why? From the business standpoint, like, I can't be mad, but like, why? I think I deserve much more respect than that, for what I've, all the time I've been here. I was there 6 years, all the time I've been there and all the time, like, we won a championship, like all this stuff, and I can't get a phone call or a text that tell me like, look, this is what we're thinking.
I don't think it's that complicated. After they won the COVID title, Anthony Davis came to camp out of shape. LeBron wasn't overjoyed with that. He was looking to pass the baton to some degree, reduce minutes slightly to extend his career. By the way, Luka and Anthony Davis, throughout their career, they've been dogged by this reputation. Are they in great shape? Is it a coincidence Luka and AD are hurt a lot? You know who isn't Mikal Bridges, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Jaylen Brown. It matters. AD had about a season to maybe a season and a third where he was in unbelievable shape for the Lakers. Best maybe of his career. He played 76 games. First team all defense, all NBA. And how do I know that? Because with Anthony Davis, you can point to that year. Oh, that was the year he was in great shape. Right? So That's why. It's that the injuries are piling up. And by the way, when he got traded to Dallas, what happened? Hurt again, shows up the following camp, 15 pounds overweight. The why was always right out in front. He just didn't understand the why. The why is, why aren't you always in great elite shape? That's the why. The why isn't why you got traded. Pelicans moved off you. Lakers moved off you. And by the way, Dallas now has moved off you. The why isn't, why did I get traded? It's, why aren't you in consistently good shape? It's been the knock on AD. I don't think it's a coincidence that players who are in marginal shape or play themselves in shape get hurt more. And I love Anthony Davis as a player, but he's aged quickly. Like, he went to Dallas. It's like, when he put on 6 years, I don't think it's a coincidence.
Great. So you heard what Colin Cowherd had to say. Now, I'll read a little bit more from the article, and then we'll get into my thoughts. For the most part, Cowherd seems to be making a great point. When healthy, Anthony Davis consistently positioned himself as a contender for Defensive Player of the Year, and even looked like an MVP caliber player at times. Unfortunately, injuries have routinely gotten the better of him. And then the article then goes on to say a few other things. There. What are my thoughts about this? Look. I know and I remember certain NBA players like John Sally, for example. I think he said it on Gil's Arena at the time, questioning the training of Anthony Davis, right? Maybe his training methods. Maybe he's not training properly. That's what's leading to his injuries. In terms of AD being overweight, I can't remember any time outside of recently in Dallas where we could look at Anthony Davis and say weight was an issue. I never thought that was an issue. It was never brought up into me. It wasn't like AD got fat, like the way they were talking about, for example, Luka Doncic, right? Luka, that was a real talking point. Is Luka Doncic putting on too much? So that was a real thing. In the case of AD, I don't remember that being a talking point. AD never looked out of shape to me. I remember AD didn't like the idea of playing the 5 because he didn't want to deal with all of that physicality. I remember that. I remember AD and LeBron James getting along pretty swell together. I remember AD being the focal point of the offense before he got traded, and he was looking well like an MVP caliber player. As a matter of fact, every time you turn on the internet, all you hear is LeBron fans crying about the fact that they wish they had AD back and how they don't like Luka Doncic. So I never heard this. Right? I never heard this. But again, that's what separates me from Colin Cowherd, because I'm not an NBA insider. I don't know all these people. But to hear that LeBron had issues or was unhappy with AD being overweight, but then they got Luka. So if you're upset with AD being overweight, my God, you must be fuming over getting a player like Luka. So I don't know how much truth there is to this story. But it is surprising to hear, according to Colin Cowherd, it's important that we state that, according to Colin Cowherd, that LeBron was unhappy with Anthony Davis's conditioning. But I'll leave it to you guys to decide in the comments. Whatever you think, leave them in the comment section. Catch you guys on the next show. Peace.